Hey there, welcome to Chief's Shop and to Hey Chief, where I answer your questions about woodworking and my projects. Today I've got a couple of questions about pocket hole joinery, one about the screws and one about a drill setting. So I'll start off with the question about screws, and this one asks, there are a lot of pocket hole screws to choose from. You always list the size to use in your projects, but when do I use the fine thread and when do I use the coarse thread? Well, as a general rule of thumb, the coarse thread is for soft woods, such as pine, as you see here, and the fine thread is for hardwood, such as oak, as you see here. The difference between the screws, on the coarse thread, the thread spacing is wider. They're not as close together as they are on the fine thread, and they're slightly wider when it comes to their distance from the shank of the screw. You'll notice in the inset video that they look distinctively different. The coarse thread is designed to grab into the softer wood. It works a little bit better that way. The finer thread, because of the tighter grain, works better there. I have used them interchangeably, with the exception of using the coarse thread on hardwood. I've used the fine thread on a softer wood and haven't had difficulty there. But you run the risk of splitting if you use the coarse thread on the hardwoods, and I'm sure that the Craig folks would not recommend you interchange those at all. I have, on instances when I've run out of my coarse thread screws, that I've used the fine thread in a pinch, but I wouldn't exclusively use them. But you know, one or two holes on a project probably isn't going to kill you at all. So they're not priced any differently, so there's really no reason to try to switch them in and out. But definitely on the softwoods, coarse thread; hardwoods, fine thread. Now, related to the pocket hole screws, this is a question about the drill. What's the right torque setting for my drill when I drive pocket hole screws? Well, you certainly don't want to be on the drill setting, the highest setting. You're going to really drive that screw through too fast and too deep, is what can happen a lot of times. I have a Hitachi here, 18 volt. I try to set between, on this one it goes up to 22 and above on the setting. I try to go, you know, somewhere in the middle, an 8 to a 13 on mine. What I find with a soft wood is that I lower the setting because the screw does not have as hard a time getting through the wood. On a hardwood, I'll bump it a little bit. You want to be at a point where when you fully drive the screw in, you get a few clicks, but you know that you've fully driven it in. And I like to, as you'll see in the inset video, I like to pulse the screw as I drive it. That's something that just from experience I've developed, and I think other people recommend that as well. Instead of just driving it straight through, this will allow you to work the screw in and not overdrive it, and you can have some issues sometimes if you just go full force into it. You can space the parts, the pieces of lumber apart, and have some issues there. So I would set it somewhere in the middle, depending on your drill driver, what that's going to be, and just pulse it as you go through. A little bit of experimentation probably on some scrap pieces to see if you're unfamiliar with it. If you're an old hat at using pocket hole screws, this is not anything new to you, but this is for the beginner folks that ask me this question frequently. Well, I hope you found these tips helpful, and if you want to send me a question, please do at chiefsshop.com, and you can also post questions on Facebook, on my YouTube channel here, and also on my blog. Well, like I always like to say, time to get off the computer or tablet or whatever device you're using, and get out in the shop and make some sawdust.